Well, if you're a fan of Jean Grey, the classic X-Men character who debuted in the 1960s and is one of the most famous X-Men ever in the comics, you have reason to celebrate. According to news reports, Marvel Comics is bringing her back. Bleeding Cool, I think, obtained a leaked synopsis of an upcoming Marvel comic called, I have it in front of me, Phoenix Resurrection, The Return of Jean Grey. This is actually from comicbook.com, this exact article I'm showing for you. But they're reporting on something that apparently Bleeding Cool reported on originally, at least here. And, you know, if you're an X-Men fan, a Marvel fan, you read the comic books. This is a comic book related video, not so much the movies. But you know that Jean Grey died, she was killed off by a Magneto imposter in Grant Morrison's new X-Men run way back in the 2000s. I think it was 2000 or 2001. It was a pretty famous storyline and a pretty famous death. You know, he gave her some kind of a magnetic seizure. It wasn't the real Magneto. There was this weird stuff where the Scarlet Witch was warping with reality and created alternate versions of people and things like that. It's pretty convoluted. But someone at the time whom everyone thought was Magneto killed Jean Grey. The original Jean Grey who debuted in comics in the 60s and, you know, has died and come back multiple times in the comics, actually. Most famously in the original Dark Phoenix saga. I think that happened in the 70s. That was Jean Grey's, I think, first major real death. And one that stuck until Marvel brought her back, I think, in the 80s. And, you know, after that, she was, you know, an X-Man, an X-Woman for a long time. And, you know, was the same age, an adult, as a lot of the other X-Men. And then in Grant Morrison's new X-Men run, she was killed off. And her death that time seemed to be one that Marvel was wanting to make permanent or stay for a very long time, and they did. The adult Jean Grey has been absent from Marvel Comics ever since then. You know, the only time you saw her was like in flashbacks and stuff like that, or whatever. And now Marvel is bringing her back, apparently for real, this December. This comic, Phoenix Resurrection, The Return of Jean Grey, is supposed to come out in December. And I, for one, am happy about it. Because I didn't like the fact that they killed Jean off in the new X-Men run. I've been reading X-Men comic books for a long time, and I wasn't a fan of that. I thought it was a shock value death. I mean, Grant Morrison's a great writer, but I felt that that was a mistake that was actually beneath him. I felt he killed Jean Grey off because he just wanted to do it to have a death at the end of the storyline that would shock people and have emotional resonance to the storyline, and he chose Jean. But I didn't think it was Jean's time. You know, I thought she had a lot left to do and she was popular, and I felt she was killed for the sake of like some storyline. As you know, that's always the reason for someone's death, right? For storyline. But I just felt the reasons weren't that great. They weren't organic. It was just, let's shock somebody. Let's shock readers by killing somebody. And I don't think they ever should have killed her off in the first place. This time. Anyway, and I'm glad I'm bringing her back. Like, I know it seemed for a while that they were basically replacing her with the newer, younger version. If you don't know, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember how many years ago, Brian Michael Bendis, a very famed Marvel writer, was writing the X-Men titles. And he came up with a storyline where he had the original 5 X-Men, Cyclops, Jean Grey, the original Jean Grey, Iceman, Angel, and Beast. They, because of something, I forgot what happened, but there was some time anomaly and they were transported from the 1960s or whatever like era they were in Marvel's universe to today, to modern times. And it seemed like with the old Jean Grey dead, it seemed like this new younger Jean Grey was the one that they were going to stick with. And she was the Jean Grey in the comics for a long time, this new younger version, and it seemed like she was the replacement. But recently they gave this Jean Grey her own series, and she's been having visions of the Phoenix Force. And now she's going through the original Jean Grey's life, and she's having visions of her. And it seems like the culmination of the Jean Grey story, of the Jean Grey series storyline, and her seeing visions of the Phoenix Force is going to culminate in the original real Jean Grey coming back again. And I like that. I mean, the cool young Jean Grey, she's cool. She's fine, but I don't really care enough about her as much as the Jean Grey that I grew up with. And I think that's why Marvel brought her back. I think a lot of Marvel and X-Men fans are like, what happened to the adult Jean Grey that we grew up with? Why do we never need to see her again? Why do we need this new younger Jean Grey? Where's the real one? And so I think that's what's happening here. if this turns out to be true. And I'm for it. I never thought they should have killed Jean off in the first place. The original 5 X-Men that they brought back as teenage versions, they're cool, but I don't like them being as replacements for the X-Men we've already seen grow up and, who we grew up with ourselves. And all the original X-Men are actually still around, with coexisting with their teenage time-displaced versions. The adult Iceman's still around, so is the adult Beast, the adult Angel. The adult Cyclops was, but Marvel killed him off in this other storyline. I don't know what they're going to do with Cyclops. It seems like Marvel has purposely written Cyclops into a corner as a horrible, douchebag for several years. And it culminated purposely, and it's culminated in his death. So I don't know. But the young Cyclops is around right now. And now the only one who seemed to have replaced her older counterpart was the young Jean Grey. But it looks like Marvel is fixing that this December. And I'm pretty happy about that. And it's going to be weird if the real Jean, the original Jean, comes back with, the original Cyclops dead, the original Wolverine apparently dead. There's Old Man Logan now, though, because they time displaced him. The original Wolverine died and is encased in this adamantium cocoon or whatever. But they brought a time displaced version of an older Logan to the current present. The X-Men are all about time displacements. It's weird. And Professor X is dead too, but he may be coming back, because if you read Astonishing X-Men, there's a psychic version of Professor X in the Shadow King's head, or in the astral plane with Shadow King. It's this weird kind of thing, and I hope that the Professor's actually back, because I love the Professor too. I wish he hadn't died either. So anyways, I'm happy for Jean to come back, and I'm excited. I wanted to come back. I've been reading X-Men comics for a long time. I like the fact that they're going back to more of their more classic kinds of dynamics, which I think is when the X-Men were strongest. And I support this. And I am going to definitely follow this and see how it develops and see if I can make some videos about it as it goes on into December and whatever. But I just wanted to make this video about it to keep you updated and let you know my feelings on the Jean Grey apparent resurrection that's coming in mere months from now. And so, stay tuned. But anyways, thank you for watching. If you'd like to see me make more videos about comics and Marvel and X-Men and all that good stuff, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.